Hi everybody, it's Alisa Murray here in the Sweet Life Kitchen, and I'm going to show you today how to harvest the prickly pear seeds. It's a wonderful fruit to have. It's a wonderful fruit to have growing in your garden. And this time of the year, it's very readily available to buy in the grocery store. Once you do grow it though in your garden, you're going to want to be very careful in selecting them with tongs because it grows as a fruit on the canvas, on a cactus. And so it's one of those things that you have to be super careful with, but once you get them from the store, they've already had all of these knobs and all the dangerous stuff off of them and already ready for you to pretty much peel and cook and use in your recipes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to peel the outside edge off of the prickly pear because I'm going to be prepping it. In addition to getting you the seeds, I'm going to be prepping it for another recipe in just a second, which is my prickly pear puffs. And everybody loves prickly pear. They are the most delightful fruit. They offer you the highest vitamin C than any fruit. I don't know if you knew that or not. They lower your hypoglycemic index. They're full of antioxidants. It's just a really wonderful fruit. They taste like raspberries and watermelon. So I really have never met anybody that didn't like prickly pear. But there's probably a chance I might meet somebody along the way that doesn't. But anyway, so here's the deal. I want you to peel it, and then I'm going to slice it in half, and I'm going to show you. In there are the little seeds. And what I want to do is I want to push out these seeds with my finger, and I want to put them onto the paper towel because I'm going to dry them on the paper towel and get rid of all of that pulp so it doesn't get moldy. And then once I get these cleaned and I get them dried out, then I'm going to put them in my seed starter for the garden for the fall. And I'm hoping to be able to have some prickly pears for next year growing in the Sweet Life garden because it's important to me to grow as much as I can from seed. We're going to be working on seeds a lot within the next few weeks because it's time to plant the fall garden. We've got to do beets, and we've got to do kale and collards and carrots and lettuces and spinach and turnips and the late tomatoes. I'm going to be doing tomatoes. I've got some baby tomatoes that I've been working on out there. I even have some peppers that are really doing really good. And so I'm going to do that as well. And so I wanted to show you, that's what you do. You take that and you just squish it out onto, you can feel them, they're hard seeds. Squish it onto your paper towel, and I'm going to go through and do that to the rest of these. I'm not going to take all the seeds out of everything because I'm going to only need to have a few seeds to harvest for the garden, but I'm going to go ahead and get everything prepped for this recipe. And then I'm going to show you the recipe next. See, that flesh just peels right off, just like that. And take it and cut it in half. Squish out those seeds. They kind of remind me a lot of pomegranate, actually, in the way that they are in the flesh. And like guava too. Try to get probably about 50% of this seed harvested from the prickly pear, and then the rest of them will just bake in our recipe because they're not harmful for you to eat or anything. But I did not want to get them and not actually harvest the seeds. I always try to do that if I can. There are some things that just are hard to harvest, hard to grow because they've been given so many different pesticides and different things in the grocery store. So sometimes if you get like an apple or something, you have to trick it and stick it in the freezer for about a month or two and make it think that it's gone into hibernation to get it to actually even germinate. But these guys just need to be washed, dried, make sure there's no moisture on them whatsoever. And then once they've gotten all dried up, then you can put them in your prepared soil with good compost and fertilizers to get them started. I feel a lot of crunchy seeds in that one. This one's got a lot of seeds in it. And like I said, you can pick these guys up. I just picked them up at my grocery store about a week ago, and they were kind of green, and I waited for them to get a little bit riper. I just had them over there on the counter, and I knew that I was going to be harvesting seeds from them as well as making the recipe, so I wanted to make sure that I had enough to show you what to do on both. Just run your finger through there. If it's ripe enough, which these are, it's real squishy and easy to scrape those seeds right out of the pod. You can almost feel them lifting up as you're pulling them out. And then I'm going to run these through a strainer with water, and then I'm going to lay them on another paper towel to dry once I get done getting them all extracted. I don't know who wouldn't love a fruit that tastes like watermelon and raspberries. My goodness. I'm going to put together a jam. If I go back to the store and can find some more of these guys next week, I'm going to actually make some prickly pear jam. I saw some prickly pear candy recipes too. We didn't have them growing up. Nobody in my family made them. But I thought it would be really fun to show you guys, because there's a way to, you know, harvest those seeds and use them in your garden. The one thing too that I've read, I haven't obviously experienced it yet because I'm getting ready to do it in the garden, and you guys will be with me along the way on that journey, is that they are kind of invasive. So wherever we put these, we're going to have to be sure that we are prepared for them to kind of take off and do their own thing. It's kind of like a banana plant. So I'm going to put them on the back part of the property, over kind of on the side, where if they do take off, it's not going to be invasive for the photography or a problem, because there's a huge cactus. That's the thing, is that these guys are the little fruits that are on top of the great big cactus, and that's why when you go in to harvest them, once you get them growing in your garden, you have to pull them out with the tongs. Otherwise, there's no way to get to them, because you're going to get really messed up with the cactus trying to dig them out and trying to go over and pick them. You'll have to basically lean over and pull them out. But I want to see if we can get them to grow. I think it would be really neat to have, especially since it's got so many good values in terms of the antioxidants, and all the blood sugar levels go down. It's just really a great fruit to have on hand. And hopefully Texas is a good spot to grow them in. We're going to find out. It smells good too. All right, peel this last one. Kind of messy, isn't it, guys? Let's see. I don't know if you can hear that thunder. We finally got rain. The past 2 or 3 days, we've had all these people around me get rain, and I've watched rain, and then I have to go out to the Sweet Life Garden and water, because literally right down the street, they're getting rain and we're not, which is just so strange. But he even was in the car yesterday with me, and I said, yep, it's pouring down rain here, and 5 miles down the road is our house, and I promise you there will not be any rain when we get to the house. And sure enough, there was not one drop of rain. So I'm very happy to hear that thunder, and I'm very happy to see that rain coming down, because that means I don't have to go out to the garden after I'm doing my taping. Now, I'm going to take a sieve, which is going to be a pretty simple little task, and I'm going to run some water through it. And I'm going to get all of these seeds separated from this paper towel and cleaned up, and then I'm going to dry them on a paper towel, and then when we go to the garden, I'm going to show you how we're going to put this in the dirt and get it started out as a seedling. They're little itty bitty seeds. I don't know if you can see that. They're pretty small, but they're hard, and I just want to get all this pulp out of here, because this is not a good way. You can't take that and throw that in the dirt and make anything work. It's going to grow mold on it, and it's not going to germinate the way it needs to. So I've got to do the next step of cleaning them first. But I'm going to do that, and then we'll see you in the garden with the seeds a little bit later, so that we're able to actually get them going, and hopefully we'll be able to grow some prickly pears this next year. I'll see you soon. Take care. Hi everybody, so now we're in the Sweet Life garden, and as you can see, we're out here where I've got all of my little seedlings going and started for the fall garden. And I've taken those little seeds and I've washed them and dried them and gotten them individually set apart from each other, and they're still a little bit wet, but I think they're going to be okay because there's not hardly any pulp on there, and I'm going to kind of wiggle the pulp off of there as I put them into the dirt. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to poke a little hole down into my little container, and then I'm going to drop seeds down into those holes, and hopefully we'll be able to get some prickly pear started for the garden, because prickly pears are really good for you, as we talked about earlier, but they're also kind of expensive. So if we can make it work where we can get some of these guys to grow in the garden, that would really be lovely. An additional fruit to be able to have to feed the family with and make some wonderful recipes from. So I'm just going to cover these guys up, and then I'm going to put some water on them, and then in another week or so I'm going to add more fertilizer. This is my heavy duty compost that I use for starting my seeds, and then I'll be back to you and I'll keep you posted as to whether or not they sprouted and what we're going to do with them for the next season in the garden. So if you have found any value in this, please do me a favor and like and share, and don't forget to ring that bell so that you're notified each week when we drop a new episode. Hope you're doing great and have a great day. We'll see you soon.